Hey everyone and welcome. So today we're going to finally demystify DevOps. But here's the deal. We're not going to sit here and list off 100 different tools. Nope. Instead, we're going to get to the real heart of it. What it is as a culture, a philosophy, and why it's such a game changer.
So let's kick things off with a question for you. Think about this. A huge security bug is found on your phone. Today, you might see a fix pushed out in a day, maybe even just a few hours. But if you rewind the clock about 10 years, that same exact fix, it could have taken weeks, maybe even months. So what on earth changed? Well, that's exactly what we're here to talk about.
All right, to really, truly get why DevOps is such a big deal, we need to take a quick trip in a time machine. We've got to see what the world looked like before all this.
Just take a look at this timeline. I mean, it really shows you how broken the old way of doing things was. A developer writes some code on day one, and then it just sits there for 2 days. Then, 2 more days go by before someone else manually deploys it. Testing? That doesn't even kick off until a whole week has passed. And here's the worst part. If they find a bug on day 9, the whole slow, painful process just starts all over again. You can see why this just wasn't working.
And the reason it was so incredibly slow, it was because of this, a world of completely separate teams. You'd have a developer write some code and then basically just throw it over a wall to a system admin. That person would pass it to a release engineer, who would then hand it off to a tester. Every single one of those handoffs was a point of failure, a chance for miscommunication, delays, and for things to just, break.
So we had this incredibly slow, risky, and fragmented process. The solution that came along wasn't some fancy new tool. It was actually something much deeper, much more fundamental, a completely new way of thinking about how we build software.
Okay, this right here is probably the most important thing to remember from this whole explainer. DevOps isn't just a job title or a tool, it's a culture. It is a philosophy. And the goal is super simple. Deliver better applications and do it faster. It's all about bringing together speed and quality, so you can fix that big security bug in a few hours, not a few weeks.
But, okay, how do you actually do that? How do you build that culture and get that kind of speed? Well, it all comes down to 4 foundational concepts, or pillars.
And here they are. First up, automation. This is all about automating everything you possibly can to get rid of slow manual work. Second, quality, because going fast is pointless if your product is full of bugs. Third, continuous monitoring. You're always watching your systems to catch problems before your users do. And finally, continuous testing. Testing isn't something you do at the end anymore. It's woven into every single step of the process. And this table just sums it all up perfectly. We went from a manual, siloed process that was slow and super risky to a highly automated, collaborative culture that's both fast and reliable. That, right there, is the entire transformation. Okay, so we've got the concepts down. Now let's make this really practical. How would you actually use this information to introduce yourself in a DevOps job interview? Because believe me, leading with these ideas is way more powerful than just rattling off a list of tools you've used.
Here's a super simple 4-step framework. First, just state your total experience. Then, mention your background. Were you a developer, a system admin? Now, step 3 is the magic. This is where you frame your skills using those 4 pillars we just covered. And only then, as the very last step, do you bring in some specific tools just as supporting examples.
So, if we put it all together, your introduction could sound something like this. You could say, I have 5 years of experience in DevOps and I came from a system administrator background. My main focus is on improving application delivery through automation, making sure we maintain high quality, and setting up robust continuous monitoring and testing. See how that works? It leads with the pillars. It tells the interviewer that you get the why behind DevOps, not just the what. So that's how you talk about it. But what does a DevOps engineer actually do all day? Let's look at it through that exact same lens, the 4 pillars. So a day in the life isn't just about typing commands into a terminal. It's really about applying those pillars. You might be automating the delivery pipeline. That's automation. Or maybe you're implementing new checks to improve code health. That's quality. Setting up new dashboards to watch performance. That's monitoring. Integrating new automated tests. You got it. That's testing. Every single task you do ties back to one of these core principles. And this really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. Once you truly, deeply understand the why, this culture of automation, quality,
monitoring and testing, learning any specific tool becomes so much easier. Because the tools, they're going to change next year. But these core principles, they're here to stay.
So, we've pretty much covered the what and the why of DevOps. We get the culture, we get the pillars, but that leads to the next big logical question, right? How does all of this actually fit into the process of building software from scratch, day in and day out?
And that's exactly what we're going to dive into next time. We'll break down the entire software development lifecycle, the SDLC, and see exactly how DevOps transforms every single stage of it. I really hope this was helpful for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.